Everything we are hearing about the Houston Rockets is that this will be a pivotal offseason for Rafael, Ime Udoka, and the entirety of the Houston Rockets roster. Now, we have some new trade destinations for a Rockets superstar, but is it the right choice? What would they get in return? We break it all down for you today on Rockets Digest. So much to break down this offseason in regards to what this team will look like in literally just 3 or 4 months from now. There's free agency, there's trade topics, and there's one big thing that everybody continues to talk about. And that big thing is a big man. It's Alperen Şengün. And while he had a good season, he was voted as the NBA's most overrated player. I personally don't agree, and I think a lot of Rockets fans would probably tend to say the same thing. But that doesn't stop the fact to note that he is a guy that has a lot of money on his contract moving forward. He is a guy that it doesn't exactly fit well with Kevin Durant. In fact, he was better on the court when Kevin Durant was not on the court, and vice versa. Kevin Durant was better on the court when we had no Şengün on the court. So trying to figure out what the best inference is for both of these guys to really succeed might be the ending of Alperen Şengün with the Rockets, which is what we're going to talk about today. Given the $33+ million that he's going to be owed every single season after this, if you want to make a big splash, if you want to make a move for a big player, odds are you're going to have to give up Alperen Şengün, and that's why we have this realistic Alperen Şengün trade suitors as rumors continue to swirl about the Rockets superstar. Before we get into those trade topics, we'll let you know this video is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's the best way to get in on the action. Whether it's NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, PrizePicks has you covered. And if you play $5, you're going to get $50 instantly with the link in the description when you use code DIGEST to sign up for an account. We've got some NBA playoff picks and some cool promotions that we'll tell you about in just a moment. But for Alperen Şengün, this season was, I'm not going to say less than ideal, because he did what we all expected of him. 20+ points per game, 8+ rebounds per game, 6+ assists per game. Everything was in the right spectrum, but it didn't work out. And I'd argue he was one of the more clutch players on this team. I can recount multiple times where we had to rely on Alperen Şengün to come out and make a bucket to get us in there. Now, on the contrary, a lot of times we were in positions where he had to make a bucket because of the team, and that included Alperen Şengün. The question is, how important is this offseason? How big are the Rockets really kind of pushing around? We know that right now it seems like if a Giannis trade is going to be pursued by the Houston Rockets, it will include Alperen Şengün. But is that something the Bucks would like? Is that something that is worth it to the Rockets? Well, what are some other options? And that's where we kind of go with today. The first option that is listed in that article is actually an intriguing one. It's a guy we've talked about, but I mean, probably in a different light than what we're going to bring up today. And that is Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers. He is a guy who is looking like he might be moved this offseason. The Clippers obviously struggled this past season. They got into the play-in, but ultimately did not make the postseason. Traded Ivica Zubac. I think they're is somewhat of a rebuild opportunity for them, especially with picks coming up here. This could be an option for them to make a move right now. And that's where Jed Katz of Rockets SI comes in and says the Rockets could pair Leonard with Durant to create an elite two-way duo with a championship pedigree. Leonard is coming off his best season since year one in LA, averaging 27.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1.9 steals across 65 games. If Houston wants to improve on-ball scoring, Şengün could be sent to LA for Leonard, and a move that gives the Clippers a key piece to build around for long-term success. And when you look at what Kawhi Leonard would bring to this team, I can't deny that it would be something that I would be intrigued to see. I think also thinking about Kawhi and overall this team, the discussion is there with Ime Udoka and whether he is, worthy to continue on and his game plan for constructing this team. This is a guy that fits the warrant for the way that Ime Udoka wants to kind of build his roster. Because if you think about what we've talked about in the way that he consistently builds the teams, game plans the teams, a lot of times that includes having multiple forwards out there. Not just 2, but usually around 4 sometimes, even if he is going to play at a somewhat disadvantage. I mean, even when you look at the Houston Rockets and the depth chart that they have, even in today's game, it still makes the most sense that that's the way he wants to play. Now, are things going to continue like this? No, but I'd argue that Amin Thompson on most teams probably wouldn't play a point guard. He would probably play at worst a shooting guard, maybe even more a small forward. Past that, you think about what's the options for around this, and there's just so much to break down. Obviously, this is, a way that it goes, but I think that there is something to look at with the Houston Rockets and understand that we can make this team better, but it is going to cost Şengün. And for Kawhi to come in here and the way that he would play, the way that he would construct this team, I don't doubt that it would be something that I would be really excited to see. The second guy on the list, or the second team on the list, is one that we brought up even just yesterday, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who right now are still going strong in the NBA playoffs, but it does sound like Spida might be in the realm of possibility to be moved this offseason, and guess what? Alperen Şengün would have to be moved once again just because of the money owed to Donovan Mitchell. The Rockets could go after Mitchell to secure their star guard alongside Durant, but it would likely cost Şengün. Cleveland could land the Turkish big man and pair him with a 24-year-old Evan Mobley, balancing do-it-all offense with elite defense. And again, any of these big trades that we talk about, Kawhi, Donovan, Giannis, Şengün likely is going to be included. And part of that is strictly because of money. I don't want to sit here and say it's because he's not worthy, he's not the best player, this or that. I think a lot of that does have to do with the contract restructuring and knowing that you're going to pay him over $30 million for the next couple of years. So that's a huge thing to me. I talked about Donovan Mitchell a lot in yesterday's video, so I'm not going to spend too big of a time on this, but I think going back to the thought processes with the Rockets, it does kind of make sense to have Kevin Durant get an elite guard, and that would be Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if that's what Ime Udoka wants. Obviously, Rafael Stone has kind of abided by the thought processes with Ime and has similar thoughts, so I can't say that it's going to change whether it's Rafael or Ime, but it does seem like an interesting perspective to kind of really look at and kind of dive into the theme of what exactly is the best move for the Rockets and how can they make sure that next year this is a time where the Rockets are continuing to play, even just into the second round, because the past two seasons they've played really well. In fact, 52 wins a couple of years ago, you thought they were en route to getting into the second, even third round of the playoffs, and instead it's been first round exits. And so with that, you've got to figure out the rebuild is nice, but the rebuild only works if you actually get to a point where you feel confident and comfortable in your team going out there and succeeding. And I've said it ad nauseum, but the Thunder and Spurs are something you have to worry about when making these trades. And something you don't have to worry about is your prize picks, though, because before I let you know of that last trade, I want to show you my picks for this evening. James Harden, I'm going to pick him with the Cavs. 2.5 3-pointers made. I'm going to say the more. I think that he's due for a game. I always have a soft spot for Hart in my heart, so I'm going to take the more on him. Tobias Harris, I'm going to take the more on his points, rebounds, and assists. He's been a big part of the Detroit Pistons offense. Ty Series, they need him. And then Donovan Mitchell, just talked about him. I'm going to take the more on his field goals attempted. He takes a lot of shots. 20.5 is something that he's done multiple times throughout the playoffs. I'm expecting that to happen again tonight. So you can go follow these picks again on Prize Picks using the code DIGEST with the link in the description. You're going to play $5 and get $50 instantly. The final trade is one that we have discussed and said multiple times, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis, if moved to Houston, which whether it's the right move or not, would involve Şengün. Jed Katz kind of agrees with that. The Bucks, of course, are looking for blue chip young talent and draft capital at the deadline before ultimately keeping the two-time MVP, but Houston has just what they need for the Bucks to build for the future. If the Rockets are going to sacrifice Şengün for anyone, it's Antetokounmpo. Pairing the Greek Freak with Durant would instantly create one of the scariest duos in the NBA, and I continue to go on that point. Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo would have the NBA feeling terrified. That is something you want in a Western Conference that is already bloodied up with a lot of good teams. Is Giannis the right move? I think it can be said yes or no. Because if you do move for Giannis, you're putting all your future into the hands of him. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's definitely a risky thing. He got a championship with Milwaukee, and that's great. But can you trust that when Kevin Durant leaves and you still have Victor Wembanyama to worry about, and you still have the Thunder to worry about, is he going to be able to be successful knowing that your signings are going to be what you have to make do with? You're not going to have draft picks to pay somebody cheap. You're going to have to make the money moves, and the depth options might not be as widespread as they are at this current time. So there's definitely options. I think that there are things that the Rockets can do. So let me know in the comment section which trade you would like to see, whether it be Kawhi, Donovan, Giannis. Would you like to keep Alperen Şengün? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. For now, though, guys, we do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.